Thank you.
Okay. So I'm Robbie. I'm a certification manager here with WBENC ORV. Go ahead and get started. Make sure they get everything. Okay. So on the agenda today, we have about WBENC and WBENC ORV, understanding supplier diversity, what is a WBE, the eligibility, so the benefits, processes, all that stuff. Need help, who you can contact, how you can contact us. And then once you're certified, what do you do now? I will do my best to, I throw acronyms around like crazy. I'll do my best to catch myself and let you know what those acronyms are so you can be aware of them. Um, that way you don't feel left out or behind or anything because I do it second nature at this point. You'll get to the point where you do it as well, especially with supplier diversity and the WB. So about WBENC. WBENC organization has grown to become the largest third-party certifier of businesses owned, controlled, and operated by women in the United States and a leading advocate for women-owned businesses in corporate and government supply chains, as well as with each other. Not just corporate and government, it's about each other. So the core platform is certification opportunities, resources, and engagement. There's over 20,000 certified WBENC WBs across the nation, including the U.S. territories of like Guam, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and I think there might be one more. 550 corporate members nationally. We're made up of 14 RPOs, make up the one national organization. As Yah was saying, she's in a different one, and that's fine. That's what we're here for. You're still WBENC. So here is the network. You are in GWBC, y'all. When it starts going down, like they kind of start branching out. I never know. So there's the different RPOs. You'll see us with a star on it right there. WBENC ORV in the burgundy. We cover Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. A majority of our businesses are in Ohio, but that is not to defer or deter you from engaging. We still have events everywhere. And just because you're in one RPO, you're welcome in all RPOs, the same as if you were part of their RPO. We're just doing the paperwork for you and hosting local events more than the national. The national has their major events, but we have a more localized aspect to it and help with that. But you're still WBENC certified. So about ORV, as I said, we are Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. We're headquartered in Mason, Ohio, in the Cohatch, if you're familiar where that is. It's essentially Cincinnati if you're not. It's just a little north, right before Kings Island, because everyone's from different places. So not everyone's familiar with Cincinnati area. I'm from Eastern Kentucky originally. Didn't really know Mason outside of Kings Island growing up, but now I've learned a little more about it since our office is there. So ORV stands for Ohio River Valley. WBEC stands for Women's Business Enterprise Council. WBENC is the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. We just take out the N and then add ORV at the end for our RPO, as other RPOs do different things. Our charge is to certify women-owned businesses and to promote the activities directed at the development, expansion, and encouragement of businesses owned by women. We're one of 14 RPOs. We started in 2009 with only 7 corporate members and 348 certified WBs. Today we're at over 1,100 certified WBs, and I think our actual numbers are around 82 corporate members. So we have grown tremendously since 2009. We're happy to continue to grow, to give us ourselves further reach and to make your certification hold a little more weight every time, that it's more useful. More usable. So what is supplier diversity? So it's business practices that ensure that goods and services are derived from diverse supplier base. It does not guarantee you contracts, but it does provide an equal opportunity to compete. Many of these of our corporate members and even non-corporate members, government agencies set out annual spend goals to create a diverse supply chain. I know like Hamilton County, they set out a percentage per year that they want to spend on diverse businesses. Same with Hamilton County. City of Columbus does it. I think the state of Kentucky does it. Like every place kind of has Either it's a dollar spend per project or a percentage of overall budgets. Even even those that they give out to other people, they say, hey, you've got to give 5% to diverse owned businesses. And that diversity is defined in many ways. There's veteran owned, there's minority owned, there's LGBT plus Q owned, and obviously women owned, and many other agencies that involve different types of certification. But that's supplier diversity. It's not just women owned. There's so many different ways to define it. So 7 things to know about supplier diversity. Every organization and state is different when it comes to supplier diversity. And whatever organization or state you're looking for to do business with, see who they recognize. If they don't recognize WBENC, that's okay. See if they recognize the state that you're in. It may be the state of Ohio. They want their certification. We have an MOU with the state of Ohio that helps fast track you through their process. And separate entities recognize different organizations. We are just the largest, so most people recognize us. That's why we have the 500 plus corporate members nationally that scales all the way from Toyota and Honda to P&G to Disney, like Coca-Cola, you name it. Like they're probably a major Fortune 500 company. Most of the time they have supplier diversity departments and are one of our members. Your WBENC certification is recognized nationally, but every state is different. Like I said, you kind of have to read what that customer is looking for and who they recognize. Just because you're certified in the ORV in the Ohio River Valley doesn't mean you can't do business in Georgia as a WBENC member because you're still WBENC. We're just processing your paperwork. It's not going to guarantee you contracts. It's just helping you get that fair chance that you deserve. Many of your target clients have an internal database or portal that you should join. I'm pretty sure Honda has one. I know Messer Construction has theirs that once you're certified, they want you to upload your certification to their portal so that it's there. It's less of them having to search and it's you just doing an extra step here or there. Being a WB is just one of many ways being a diverse business. Like I said, there's minority owned, there's LGBT plus, there's veteran owned, there's those with disabilities. There's so many different ways. So whatever works for you, do a little research and there's an organization helping with that business. It's not just goodwill, it's also good business sense. It provides such competitiveness within the business aspect. It prevents that good old boy system where somebody's nephew owns a construction company and it's going to him because he's so and so's nephew. It makes sure that they're competitive. So what it does to that company is it's going to make the bids competitive, that they're going to get the best rate while also getting the best product, and it's just not going into their buddy's pocket. And you yourself can have supplier diversity goals. So part of WBENC is you and being certified is you get access to all 20,000 plus members. You can search if you're in construction and you're looking to do some marketing, instead of Googling marketing and finding some major firm, go into WBENC link, look up marketing. There's hundreds, even locally to you. I know in ORV alone, I looked up marketing yesterday. I think there was like 87 people that had marketing in their keywords. So whatever you're looking to do, there's someone that probably fills that supply chain need. Even shipping logistics, even the actual, not the middleman logistics, but has the trucks and is sending the trucks places to get your product out. Or maybe you're looking for chili. Maybe you're hungry. There's people that are certified with chili and tons of food. My wedding cake actually came from a diverse owned business. There's tons of opportunities for your own supply chain. So that's why you can set goals of, I want to help people like me. Um, Also, before I go any further, I know I talk fast. This is being recorded, and it will be shared with you later. So don't sweat if the Southern accent comes out and some words kind of get jumbled together. This is shared. You'll be able to go back and look at it. The links and all that. You'll get it all. So don't worry, but feel free to ask questions and I can always elaborate more on anything. So what is a WBE? Like I said, I throw around a lot of acronyms. It refers to a women's business enterprise. It's the business that we're certifying, not the individual. So to become WBENC WBE certified, we're validating that your business is at least 51% owned, operated, controlled, and managed by a woman or a group of women. Um, as long as that, however that needs to be broken up for your business, it's got to be 51%. We can't deal in 50.5s. We do not round up. It has to be a full 51%. So if you're looking at your bylaws and it's 50.9, you've got to rewrite, you've got to get that 0.1 to be a full 51%. After that, you can have the halves because you've got 51. It can be 51.1, it's still 51. That's all that matters. But you have to have a full 51 before anything else. The Women's Business Enterprise, commonly referred to as WBE, Women Owned Business Certified by WBENC. Also, you notice this seal up here in the corner. You get access to that one, certified. There's that one. There's women-owned logos. I think there's like 10 or 12 that you can put on products, and I'll get into that in a minute about some of the benefits. But the owned, operated, controlled, and managed, woman has to be the highest title. It doesn't have to be the owner, but it has to be a woman. So that's a common misconception that the female owner has to be the highest title. No, it just has to be a woman. Um, Also, she doesn't have to be the highest paid. That was, I think, an old criteria that's changed. The female owner does not have to be paid the highest because we understand there's sales roles that are based on commission. And if you're always having to make $1 more than your highest commission person, you can kind of hinder your business that way because you're hurting yourself. So we don't want to do that. So you don't have to be the highest paid. You have to be the highest title, or a female does have to be the highest title. You just got to also have that 51%. You have to meet all of that criteria. You can't pick 3 of the 4 or 2 of the 4. It's got to be all 4. And again, I'll get into a little more details about that later, but that's the core of it. So some of the eligibility requirements. You have to be a for-profit independent business. We can't deal nonprofit. There's a lot of legal stuff that goes into that that we're not capable of dealing with. You have to 51% owned, operated, controlled by a woman or women. You have to be a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident. You have to have a green card, something of that nature. We love seeing passports because it kind of does everything for the gender and all that part of it. Has to hold the highest title, and I see a question that's going to tie in perfectly to this of how is that title defined? By your bylaws. That if in your bylaws it says that president is the highest title, that has to be female. If it says CEO is the highest title, then it has to be female. If it's chairperson, chairwoman, chairman, however it's written up, that has to be a woman. Whatever your bylaws, your operating agreement says the highest title, that is how it's defined. If in your bylaws it says cherry picker is the highest title in your company, as long as cherry picker is held by a female and it's defined, cherry picker is the highest title. But it's got to be defined. And I think that answers it.
So Robbie, yeah,
Yeah.
it's Brian. So, I mean, the bylaws will state that like the president is the highest officer title, but then the bylaws also state that the president, reports to the board, and that would sort of to me indicate that obviously the board has the highest, defined rank, but I don't know kind of where that's defined, like if there's a split between officer versus the board being different.
So if the president reports to the board and so this one, it's going to be kind of tricky because it's going to be dependent on how is the president's title, like their role defined. So if the president is over day-to-day operations, that's going to be an issue. But if the board is over day-to-day operations, then that for like the board's kind of guiding the company. So the chairperson of the board would have the highest title. But also like if president is the highest officer, but then they report to the chair or report to the board, and you define that as the chairperson can remove the officers at any time with or without cause, that would essentially give that chairperson the ultimate say so. So therefore, the chairperson would have the highest title. If it says the president runs day to day, and it takes like a majority to remove president, and the majority of the board is not held by women, then the president would be the highest title and have more power than that chairperson does. But if it says the board can remove them and it's held by women, a majority, or if the president is the highest title and it's a female, um, then and then there's a board, but the president can't be removed unless it's a majority of the board, which is female or shares, then you'd be okay. I know that sounds really confusing. Um, the way I always, my biggest word of advice is look at your bylaws in the way that you're trying, that you're an outsider and you want to find an error. If you can look at it and say, there's no errors in this, I am trying to find the error that would remove female control, and you can't find it, you're probably going to be okay. But if you look at it and you're like, ah, man, that's a little iffy, like, I don't know about that, that's going to be a red flag. If you are already seeing that, we're trying to make sure our certified businesses are women-owned operating control without question. That's the reason we got to the level we are. That's the reason we have an MOU with the state of Ohio and the city of Columbus. They know you're put under such scrutiny with our certification. We dive so deep that they don't have to worry about it. And it's for stuff like this. If you have a board, have your attorney look at it and say, if you're reading this as an attorney, who is the highest title, male or female? And if they're saying, well, it's male, you kind of think about that. You can put an amendment in of you have a CEO, just doesn't have to be the highest paid or anything like that. That kind of day-to-day operations, because we want to make sure you are operated and controlled, not just owned. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Um, I guess like always, there's nuances either way. I
Yeah,
mean, there's reasons, there's sort of reasons by which I guess at least we're structured the way we are because there's also tax, IRS, and
yeah.
regulatory.
You got to have checks and balances. It's a business at the end of the day. Like I completely understand. That's why I'm look at your bylaws and see if the president reports to the board and the board can kind of control what's going on with the president. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to, that they do it all the time, but they have the ability to. That's going to be a big thing. Is like, do they have the ability to remove that president and make another president with or without cause? You don't have to do it. You don't have to threaten to do it. And a lot of times it never comes to that. But do they have the ability to? And then that chair is, if say you're 51-49 female to male, that board is broken up based on shares versus you just want to make sure the board is then female controlled. If it's by shares, if it's by people, however it is, look at it in that way. I think is going to be the best bet. I would have your attorney look at it, especially if you have a board and all of that. You most likely have an attorney and say, hey, what's the highest title? And is it male or female? And if they're like, well, technically the president reports to the board is female ran, and the board can tell him what he can and can't do, then it's female. Um, we want to make sure the day to day is also operated by female. So that may be sometimes come into the issue, but if it's the chairperson is the highest title and running the day to day, the president's just kind of like the title, but they're doing a lot. That's going to be okay. We certify businesses at the bottom. There's no size, industry, or length of time in business required. We certify businesses that have never done a product. We've certified businesses that have been in business for 100 years with billion-dollar companies. They're going to be in those tricky situations where you're going to have a president that runs day to day. You're going to have multiple vice presidents. You're going to have a chairman, chairwoman, all of that stuff. So I would just, my advice is to look at it and say, is there anything that pops up as a red flag that we can change? You don't have to change day to day what you're doing, but you want to kind of look at it in that sense. Does that help?
Yeah, devil's in the details. Probably just have to
Yeah. Just
navigate
tr-
it as we go
the
through the
best my
process.
best advice is try to find an issue so that we don't find one. Because if you find it before we do, you're going to be able to correct them um, and things like that. That's where the owner displays evidence of or the business demonstrates independence, function on its own. That's more of like if you're a franchise, but owner displays evidence of legal and managerial control. Um, So we're going to look at those bylaws to make sure that legally the highest title is female held, whether it's chairperson, president, CEO, cherry picker, whatever is defined in the bylaws or operating agreement is what we're looking at. Um, so I think that's going to be my best advice on that one.
Yeah. Thanks.
No problem. Owner displays evidence of contribution of capital and or expertise. Not all businesses require a ton of capital to get started. Sometimes it's I had my own laptop, I bought a website, and it kind of grew from there. Or sometimes it's I took out $100,000 loan to buy this truck or this piece of equipment to start the business. Sometimes you take loans. You're married couples. You take loans together. That's okay. We understand. Not everyone's going to give you a second mortgage on your house without your husband signing it. That's fine. We just want to make sure you have skin in the game. That it's not all of somebody else's money, none of your own. Um, very, very, very rarely do we ever see that come up because it's usually pretty easy to determine, yeah, you have skin in the game. That's what we're looking at on that one. And then business demonstrates independence and ability to function on its own. That's like your brokers, your franchises. We want to make sure that, yeah, you're only doing business with one person, that's fine. But if you wanted to, could you branch out and do it with somebody else? Um, and a lot of times the answer to that is going to be yes. The answer to that is no, and you're really, really dependent on that one business with no ability to do business elsewhere. That's going to question your independence for the business, and you kind of look like a pass through at that point. So WOSB and some updates for this year. If you're not familiar, WOSB refers to Women-Owned Small Business. It's a federal contracting program. We partner with the SBA to offer this. There's two ways to get certified in 2025. You can add it to your WBE application at no extra cost. It's one of the first questions on the application. It's, do you want to be considered for WOSB certification? If you want to do government work, you're going to want it to be WOSB. If you have no desire to ever work with the government in any sense, click no. That's what it boils down to. It's government centered. Option 2 is apply to the SBA. The SBA is a free way to do it, but their processing time, they are government operated, so their processing time is a lot slower than ours because this is our only job. The SBA has many different things going on, whether it's helping small businesses, woman-owned small businesses, whatever aspect. They have many different things. This is our sole gig, essentially. So we process a lot faster than they do. So that's why we recommend using us because you kind of get two certifications for one. And note, if you applied for but have not received your unique entity identifier is what UEI stands for from sam.gov. Give us the application as the screenshot for that section. Because when you click yes, it's going to bring up, I think, about like 8 or 9 different other questions at the main end of your application, and it's going to ask for a couple extra documents. That's going to be some quarterly tax returns or a W-3 or an employee list, depending on how your business is set up and how you operate. And then it's also going to ask for your SAM registration. SAM is free. So we're still in this WOSB. SAM registration is free. If you're on some place that says you have to pay for your SAM registration, you're on the wrong spot. Want to make sure you hear that because there are obviously there's predators on the internet that are trying to get dollars for anything. SAM registration is free. There are people that will do it for you, that does all the stuff for you. You can pay those. You're paying a middleman. But if you don't want to do that, SAM is the System for Award Management. And it's sam.gov. Down at the bottom is the website, but it's through the government. So for that criteria for the WOSB, you have to meet the WBE certification criteria, meet an approved NAICS codes. I do not know what that stands for, but if you are curious on what yours are, you can Google NAICS codes, SBA size standards. There's a PDF that's 100 something pages long. That tells you what the size standards are. And on your taxes, you will, in the kind of the left corner of your Schedule C, 1120, 1120S, 1065, kind of the top section on the left side of the page of the start of it where it shows your gross receipts. Right above that will give you a business code. The business code is where you're going to find that's your NAICS code or NAICS code. That's where that is going to be. That's what we're looking for. Taxes show business code, NAICS code is the SBA's version of it. But that's where that is. Owner must devote a minimum of 30 hours per week to the business. There should be an asterisk here, but not related to the one at the bottom. This asterisk is because not all businesses require 30 hours a week. We understand that. If you're a realtor, you may not get 30 hours per week in showings. That's okay. If you're it's mostly like operating a building, you're just kind of like you have the building and you rent out the building, you're probably not going to be 30 hours a week. There's probably going to be, 15, 20 of sweepings and filing some paperwork. But if you're in construction and you're saying you're a $5 million business, you should be working 30 hours a week in that business because there's a lot of work to get done every day with the projects and the clients and all that. So depending on your business, that's kind of an asterisk on that. And then again, you must be registered in the federal system for award management. That's what SAM stands for. And again, it's sam.gov. It's a government website. It's through the SBA. So as you're filling out your application, don't let this slow down your WBE certification. Go ahead and file everything, send us in everything. If you're waiting for that final click, we process this at the end, so I can always ask what I can ask for the missing documents, like, hey, has this been processed through? I see y'all has a question of do you have to prove your hours of business work? We're not going to ask for a timesheet per se. During the interview, we're going to say, what's your hours? And you're going to be like, oh, I work, 8 to 4. And we're like, cool. We trust you. We a lot of trust is taking place here, but there is ways that we can tell if you're lying to us, if you don't know anything about your business. And you're like, oh yeah, I work 50 hours a week, but then we ask you who's your biggest client, and you have no clue. That's gonna be a red flag. But if you say you're like, oh, I work 30 hours a week and you can't tell it, and you tell us like 15 things that you do, most of the time you're selling yourself short. Um, so we're not asking for proof like written down, but there's going to be the conversation where we ask your hours worked and making sure that you're doing it. And that's just centered around the WOSB. But it is a question on the site visits. So is certification right for me? Determine what your product or service, what your target is. Is that P&G, Kroger, Honda? Is that networking? Or what is your product? If you're selling candles, are you ready to scale? If you're doing business coaching, are you ready to do it for large quantities of people, 15 to 20, 50 people in a room, all C-suite people? What is your target? Are you able to scale it? Because you're trying to do candles and get them in Kroger and you're doing them at your kitchen table and you can only do 10 a day. Kroger's going to ask for 500 of them. So it's like you're not really ready to scale, so your product isn't ready to go to Kroger, but you can still sell to each other before you go to that, so you can build your business as you scale. Are you willing to share the details of your business, the legal documents, the tax documents, your W-2s, depending on again your business structure? We're going to ask for a lot of intimate details. It's all secure. I'll tap on our encryption and all the security that we have, so you don't have to worry about it. But we're going to ask for a lot of details. Are you clear? WB certification is a marketing tool and does not guarantee contracts. That one right there, can't emphasize it enough. It's a marketing tool. It's the logos. It's the meeting people out and about. It's the education that you gain. It's not going to guarantee you anything because there's nothing in this life guaranteed. So we can't guarantee you a contract just because you're certified. It may give you an edge. It may give you credibility, but it's not going to guarantee you anything. So some of the WB benefits, access supplier diversity and procurement executives, again, they come to our events, they're out and about. Also in WBENC Link, you get their emails, the phone numbers that you're trying to find those people. Formal and informal opportunities to pursue business. Informal ways are our networking events, our programs that we put on. Um, the Kroger people show up, the Messer people show up, the Ohio Health people, P&Gs, like they're at our events. You're gonna meet them because they come, they want to see where they're spending their money. They want to get to know you to make sure that you know the business that you're saying you can do. Um, so it's like an informal interview, but it's a way to just kind of meet people. It's also a great way to meet each other um, for support of a community of support. I see people all the time, and I'm like, "Did you know each other before you all started with WeBank?" And they're like, "No, we just became really good friends at one of our events." Um, and it blows my mind. I legit thought people were college sorority sisters. They're like, "No, we met like a year ago at Catch the Wave, and we became best friends." So like, there's all kinds of stuff, and then there's the mentorships of it as well. Um, uh, Eligibility for regional and national awards and recognitions. There's also some national contests. Past 2 years, ORV has actually had a winner and a second place finisher for the pitch competition at the national level. The winner gets $25,000. The second place is like $10,000. That's unrestricted funds for your business. It's not a grant. It's not a loan. It's here's $10,000. You can go take a vacation for all they care, but it's like you won this competition. You can do with it what you want. Most people put it to their business, whether it's paying off a loan or uh, advertising, whatever it may be. So you got access to those type of things. Um, Access to the women-owned logo um, for and seal for marketing. As you see, there's two more of them. The certified WeBank Enterprise, women-owned, right there. You get access to that. There's a couple other variations, but you can put them on your product. You'll see them at Target. You'll see them at Kroger. Literally the other day, I bought sun-dried tomatoes and looked at the bottle of it, and there was the bottom one that said woman owned. I was like, oh, cool. I was already buying this anyway, but now I'm glad it's going to a woman owned business. She was out of California, I think, but um, that stuff happens all the time. You'll see it, your product. You can put it on your email, you can put it on your website, all kinds of stuff. So now about the process. This is kind of the technical stuff. This is a lot of the details. The first part was all the fun stuff. This right here is all the business aspect of it. This is the working in the profile versus on the profile. Um, so process takes about 3 to 4 months, 90 days is what we think policy um, is what we have to get it done by. We do a really good job. I think a 75% for new applications is where we hit in that, and it's very few times do we hit over 100. So it's not like we're spending 200 days to get this processed. So some of the things the process is determine if you're eligible, compile the required documents, and I'm going to give you a cheat sheet later on of what those documents are, definitions, all of that stuff. Complete the online application, review, our review, and then we do the site visit virtually or in person. And I'll tell you more about what the difference of why we would do it in person versus virtual. After all that, we look at everything again. Certification is determination. We say certify or not. Say certify, you're in. If not, you have the ability to appeal locally, then nationally, and then reapply again. We tell you why you got denied. We're going to point it out in your bylaws or give you a definition of whatever the reason is. We'll give you a full definition and even give you the number so that it may be in your bylaws that we said, hey, this is bad. But that appeal gives you the opportunity to say, oh no, sorry, we forgot to give you this amendment that counteracts that gives back female control. And we're like, cool, let's certify. So there's the options of that. But if we say you're certified, you're in. Your certification starts that day for 365 days. Um, a lot of times we give a little bit of a extra. We try to make them expire at the end of the month. So if you get certified on the 3rd, it expires on the end of at the end of that month. So if you're February, what is today? The 6th. So if you're certified on February 6th, it'll expire February 28th next year. So you get a little extra, but if you're processed on the 26th, then it's still going to be the 28th next year. Just kind of the luck of the draw of when everything gets done. Once a site visit is complete, allow us 30 days before the final decision. That's because we're looking at it again as a holistic thing. We're looking at the staff review, we're looking at the documents, we're looking at the committee review that we did, we're looking at the site visit, we're looking at all that together to say, does everything match up for that 51% owned, operated, controlled, and managed? we're making sure that answer is a definite yes, so that when people see our seal, they see that certification, there is not a doubt in their mind that you are who you say you are and you are a woman-owned business. So the cost to apply. It's a non-refundable processing fee. It's not a certification fee. Um, it's processing fee. It pays for us to be able to process everything. If you're under $1 million in revenue, this is depending on your gross receipts on your taxes. It's $350. 1 to 5 is $500. 5 to 10, $750. And you see all the way up to 50 million plus is $1,250. It's a sliding scale because we hope that most of the time as you scale up your business, there's a little bit more complexity to it. So that's why we have to, it takes a little more time for us. We hope to see your fees increasing, not because like I'm getting a kickback or anything, but that just means your business is growing and that's really good for you. That's why I hope to see them grow, is because it's like it's good for you. And I love that. I love seeing people's every few years go up to another a dollar amount, because that means they're getting contracts, they're getting business, they're networking, they're getting use out of their certification. So as I mentioned earlier, everything you put in the WBENC is safe. It's our number one priority at WBENC. Um, Several layers of encryption. All staff and any volunteers sign confidentiality agreements. Um, it's not shared anywhere. No one gets access to it. It's all stored in WBENC Link. Um, if you choose to not complete your certification, the application, everything's purged after 90 days after start. So that's why I highly recommend getting all your documents together before you start the application, because you have 90 days to complete it once you start it. And that's because it deletes everything out for your protection. Nothing's kept in hard copy. It's all digital. I think about 6, 7 years ago, they took everything, put it all on WeBank Link, and then shredded it all. So there's no hard copies of anything anywhere. Even the fax is like a virtual fax that like uploads into the system. Like it doesn't come to our office. So trying our best to keep everything on WeBank Link because it is so safe. If there's additional people, I don't love this, but WeBank Link or WeBank gives us this important note about question 17. That's going to be your contact person. The contact person is who notifications go to. So if you're having somebody else help you with this, they say they recommend putting them at 17, question 17. I say make them a user. Keep your owner or who you want to be the contact in your business for networking opportunities. If we have, because sometimes companies will send us bids and like, hey, can you share this with your network? We're sending it to that contact. So if it's going to an attorney, they're not going to forward it to you because they may have 2 or 3 clients and they don't know who it's coming to. So this is why I recommend making whoever's helping you a user, because we cannot talk to them unless they're listed on your application or in your profile. If your husband is calling and he's not on the profile, I can't talk to him. If your son is listed as a user because he helped you do it, I can talk to him all day long because you've given permission. Um, it's again, it's for your protection, that if your secretary calls and she's not on there, I can't say a word to her. We've had people before that, hey, so and so left the company, can you remove their access? And then they send us like an email like a month later, and they're like, hey, can I get an update on our application? I'm like, you're not on there anymore. So I'd let the owner know, like, hey, this question was asked, is this you? And they're like, no. I'm like, cool. Like, we double check that. So it's question 17. If that contact person is the same person, I say just make them a user, um, give them access to be able to do that, but we can't talk to them unless they're on your application or in your profile as a user. So what does WeBank Link look like? You hear me talking about it so much now, and how to get to it. So if you're on our website or WeBank's website, their certification page, you want to go to your RPOs because it's going to bring up a different URL based on the RPO you're with, to make sure that you get into the right RPO. So if you're in the GWBC, if you're in Atlanta, you want to make sure you want to go through their website, because if you go into the ORVs, it's going to put it into our funnel of applications, and then we're going to have to transfer it, and it's going to slow things down. So you just want to make sure you're in the right one. But I think also if you go through the national website, like I think it just kind of it automatically funnels it. But if you're on there, the certification page, you click down there where the arrow says apply for or renew certification. When you click on that, it's going to ask you to like create an account and all that. This is what the dashboard looks like. This is broken up into two, but you'll see key actions and everything. In the top right corner, on the far right there, you see manage/apply for certification. That's where you're going to start your application. That's where it's going to start asking you, how big is your business? So we can determine the revenue, so we can determine the the fee. It's going to ask where you're located, so it can make sure you're in the right RPO. It's going to ask you the WOSB question, and it's going to start asking for a bunch of other stuff. Don't fret. You can always come back to it. As you see in the second half down there, it tells you how far completed you are. So say you started and you come back, you're gonna see that key actions of up there, number one, the pending. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to that second page where it shows you how far along you are. And then down there on the right, you're gonna click process. When you click process, because you've come back to it, it's gonna look like this. 1 through 6 are all questions about your business. The how many employees do you have? What's your equipment look like? Where's your address? All of that stuff, all about your business. References, owners, all that. The document list is where a lot of your time is going to get spent. Not going to lie and say this is a 20-minute process. It's going to take you a couple hours. But again, you can come back to it. It saves automatically. Or if it doesn't, make sure you're hitting the save button. I can't look at anything until you submit it, so I don't know what your side looks like. But save it, come back to it. Don't try to do it all at once unless you're just that kind of person. I'm personally not. I would have to break it up into a couple of days. But break it up over 30 minutes, enter a section, come back. Enter a section, come back. Whatever it is, the document list is what's going to take the most time because it's 20 something documents. It's like 26 maybe, depending on your legal structure, where we're asking for those bylaws. We're asking for your articles of incorporation. Most of the stuff you'll have because you've run a business. And this is the cheat sheet that I've mentioned. I believe this QR code takes you to the WBENC document needed list. And that's where it kind of gives you an explanation of what each of the documents that we're asking for are. So what's a sworn affidavit? And it gives you a link to download that sworn affidavit for you to sign. You want to sign that last because it's the last thing that should be the last date thing. But it also gives you, I'm an LLC, I'm a sole member. I don't have an operating agreement. It tells you what to do instead. It defines what financial structures. It goes through all of this stuff, and it's a great way of doing it to kind of see as you build your document list before you start applying. And again, well, I've not said it yet, so don't worry. Recertification is not nearly as hard. It's like the way it's set up. It's you click a button and like it kind of pre-populates from the previous year, and then you update like 6 or 7 documents, like a new sworn affidavit, a new user agreement, profit loss balance sheet, taxes, W-2s if applicable, because LLCs don't file W-2s. So you might not have it. And it also gives you, and if you're an LLC, you're not going to have meeting minutes and stuff like that. But if you're an S corporation, you're going to have those meeting minutes and stuff. But that's kind of it. That's where the extent, you don't have to do a resume again. You're not having to do the loan documents again. If it's a new loan, yeah, but if it's a loan that's already on file, like we don't need it. So recertification is so much easier. The people literally do in like 30 minutes or less for recertification. If you're a brand new business, you've not been in business long, you don't know, here's some of the tricky documents. The all governance and eligibility documents. Sometimes, again, if you're LLC, you're a sole member, you're not going to have bylaws. If it's requiring you to do it, send in. You can find cookie cutter ones online that you don't have to like get notarized and filled out by an attorney. Do something like that. If you want WOSB, they do require a bylaws or operating agreement because they go based on the federal. We go based on state, and that's part of federal. Contribution of capital. If it was sweat equity, make a statement saying, hey, I've spent 20 hours building my website or I spent 3 hours building my website. I don't know how long it takes to build a website. Building a website, I just kind of had my clients from a previous job. So I just sent out an email saying I opened a business. That's sweat equity. If it's a monetary thing, that initial contribution to the business account, whether it's $5 or 25 or 25,000 or 100,000, whatever it is, just initial deposits showing you put money into it. 3 years of federal tax returns. This is for your business. So for every year you don't have business returns, you're going to submit personal returns. You can omit social security numbers, all that if you want to. But again, we make links secure. I'm not stealing your identity. We all sign NDAs. No worry on that. But if you have a business return for 2023, because unless you've already filed for 2024, if you have 2023 but you don't have 22 and 21, submit personal for 21 and 22, business for 23, good to go. And again, it's the same way. It's however it's going to break down. If you've never filed taxes, all 3 years personal, good to go. Balance sheet and profit loss. It's okay if there's a lot of zeros on those. There's tons of templates online that will let you just plug and play. Other things you may not have: W-2s, list of employees, payroll documentation, especially if you're a startup or you're just a sole employee. Maybe you've been in business for 10 years, but you've never hired anybody. Your list of employees is, it's Jessica Riddle, sole employee is what it's going to say. And that's fine. Like, we understand. Not everyone needs 300 employees to run a business, whatever it may be. Lease agreements, if you have them, if it's like a home lease, if your business is based out of your home, we don't need your home lease. You would just early in your application, you're gonna put like, this is a home. I don't need your mortgage agreement. I trust the bank has already done that part. But you may not have anything like that. So you just click not applicable. And anything that's making you send in a Word document, save it as a PDF, because Pages from MacBooks will not let us open it, because we all have Dells. So just save everything as a PDF just to be on the safe side. Also, so going into some insider tips here, I'm going to go ahead and start one that's not even on there. Reach out to your local small business development center. They are a free resource that is government funded, that has certified business advisors that will help you gather your documents, help you create documents for us, but also for like loans, for anything. They're free to use. The one in Cincinnati is located, or is in partnership with Urban League. I think maybe the one in Cleveland is as well. The one in Columbus is with Ohio State University. If you're not sure where yours is, Google SBDC in your area, and it'll bring up the website, and you can put in where you are, and it tells you the closest one. So that's an extra tip. That's number 11. That's not on here. Create your profile first. That's not when your timer starts, but submit as many documents as possible. I would rather have too many pages of your taxes than be missing the page that I need. Submit everything. If you're curious of, will he need this? Go ahead and submit it. If I don't need it, I'll just disregard it. But I would rather you give me something I don't need than for me to need something to have to send a Q&A, and that's slowing everything down. Submit your application within 90 days, because again, it deletes it out. And if you're at day like 85 and you're like, I needed like another 3 or 4 days to get something in, but you're waiting on your tax person to get it, so who knows if it's actually going to be done in time, send us a message. We can extend that out a couple days for you, maybe a week or something. Make sure your bylaws agreement support female control, as we kind of dove into it with Brian earlier, of like what that means. Any backdoor way that a male can remove control or stop females from doing something, that's going to remove female control. So look at it in the sense of, I'm trying to find an error, but you don't want to. If you don't find an error, you're great. If you're filling it out for somebody else, have the female owner review everything before signing and submitting. Pay the processing fee by credit card, because we can't process until we get paid. So if you're sending in a check, we have to wait for that check to clear. Credit cards clear immediately, so we don't have to worry about it. Whitelist the WBENClink.org. It sends it to my spam, and I'll work here. I've since whitelisted it, but originally it was sending it to my spam, and we had almost had the same email. So whitelist it, because that's where your Q&As, notifications from the system are going to come through. Try to respond to us in a timely manner, because everything that waits for everybody. or makes it longer. Be flexible when it comes to your site visit. We depend on volunteers to do a lot of our site visits. It's not all staff. Some of those are corporate members. Some of them are business owners themselves. Some of them are resource partners. Um, so they're busy. We understand you're busy. Try to provide some multiple dates whenever they're reaching out, to try to get that done as soon as possible. Um, and also, before anybody asks, what if I'm on vacation or I'm in Florida because it's cold in Ohio? What if I'm in Florida while they're asking for a site visit? I don't plan to come back for a month. Your highest title female outside of yourself should be in the office. But if you're at home business, say, hey, my office is out of my house. I'm in Florida working. They're gonna be able to do it virtually. Um, it's no big deal. Remember, the entire process takes 3 to 4 months. WBENC's policy is 90 days. So 34 months. It depends on what months those fall into, I guess. Site visits. I mentioned it earlier. Be flexible. Um, the volunteers are donating their time. We don't pay them. We're a nonprofit ourselves, so we don't have the funds to like be able to pay people to do them all day long. Um, they don't have access to your file. They don't get any key information. They're going to get some basics of who the owners are, where you're located, and maybe your website. Um, and they also don't really have any access to the final decision. So if you're curious after that, reach out to staff. Hey, it's been a week. Yeah, have you heard anything? It's been 2 weeks, 3, whatever. Reach out to staff because the volunteers don't know. In complete honesty, like they don't know. We try to protect them in that aspect. We also won't have someone in your industry do your site visit to prevent conflicts as well. Um, Submit everything through WeBank Link support tickets. That way, it's all documented of everything. So if you're asking for something, we can go in and look at your profile to see a history or whatever. Their site visits virtually, and this helps with the timing of everything. Except if you're in distribution, manufacturing, you're in a shared space with another business that's not a WBE, or if something comes up and we decide, hey, we want to do this in person. Um, it could be a slew of things that's like, hey, this would just maybe needs to be more in person. It could be just complex business that we need to be in person to kind of see things. Um, that shared business, shared with another business, like if you're in a co-working space, let us know that. Um, like if you're in like a co-hatch, you're in a collective kitchen, something like an incubator. If you're in something like that, let us know. Probably not gonna do that in person, as long as you have your own designated workspace that no one else can touch, like an office door that you can close. Um, if you're in a suite of offices, as long as you have a door that can close, we're not gonna do it in person. But if you're one door to get into two businesses, no separation, that's when we're gonna come in and do it in person. So what comes next? Um, Certification can open doors for new business opportunities in your work network. You want to show up to events. You want to come to events because that's where you get the most out of your certification. It's coming, meeting the people, meeting the network, learning the education like that we offer, all the way down to creating business plans. To in a second, I'm going to talk about doing business with series. Um, you want to upload your certification to supplier diversity portals. Um, Check out the government, what their online directory is. Market yourself as a WeBank WBE. Attend the national conferences. This year it's in New Orleans. In June for the national one. Our Catch the Wave is like the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of August. It's in Cleveland this year. And also join some of the committees. Some of them require you to be certified for a year before you can do. Some of them don't. So if you're interested in joining the committee, once you're certified, reach out to us. We'll put you in touch with the correct committee. We have tons from corporate relations to marketing to certification committee, and all kinds of things. So you see there's a QR code there. That's our events calendar and registration links. We've been doing business with series where we different corporate members present for an hour. It's their opportunity to say what it takes to do business with them, whether it's their portal, whether it's how they want their bid structured, what kind of upcoming opportunities they have, all kinds of stuff. We have a developing an effective capability statement. That is your um, resume for your business. There's also a Women of Color where why should I get certified? Part of our Women of Color initiative to help grow that part of our network. Um, newly certified WB onboarding you get after you're certified. Um, that kind of we use a WB that goes through everything and talks about all the benefits that you hopefully have already seen, but kind of dives into them a little more and all of that. And then there's the Speak Like a Leader, where we have um, someone kind of help you work on your pitch and like how to present yourself to be the most confident you can be. And as I said, our Catch the Wave conference in Cleveland, that is our like key event. Last year, I think we were around like 350, 375 people. It was in Cincinnati. It rotates around. The year before it was in Columbus. The year before that it was in um, Lexington. I think next year it might be in Louisville. It moves around. Same with the WBENC one. It was in Denver last year, Nashville the year before that, Atlanta the year before that, and I wasn't here prior to that. This year it's in New Orleans, so like it moves all over the place. The national event has like 5,000 people. It's massive. It's amazing. Um, it's where everybody kind of comes together. So come to the events. This is what we've got upcoming. Also follow us on our LinkedIn page. We'll post stuff, Facebook, Instagram, and all that. Um, that's everything I've got. I know I'm like right at, I got 2 minutes till 12. Um, thank you all so much. If you have questions, reach out to our info@webecorv.org. There's our website, our office phone with a directory to tell you where you need to go or get you in touch with whoever it is. Um, I don't see any other questions. If you have questions, throw them in the chat real quick. Thank you all so much for joining today. Again, you'll get a copy of the recording and the PowerPoint that has the links for everything. You have a banking question, y'all?
Yeah, so oh, can you hear me?
You're up. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So I have a banking question. So with my business, I've had accounts with the business, then there are times where I wasn't able to keep up with the account. Do you have to have a banking account for your business? Because I'm a sole prop LLC, and I do keynote speaking engagements, and so I haven't necessarily got another banking account because I'm wanting to see more revenue come in before I go ahead and commit to getting another bank account based off of the business.
Okay. So without getting too personal here, if it's just you on the bank account,
Yeah, it's
no
just
big
me.
deal. Okay, then yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're just saying I use my personal because maybe you're not
Oh,
up
okay.
to a ton of revenue yet. Like you said, you're
Yeah,
trying to grow and see. It's not worth opening yet. But in
yeah.
general, if for other people that may have a similar idea, but they have a spouse, make sure that there's a separation in those accounts, whether it's there's a savings account strictly for the business named the business or whatever. Um, but if you're like a large company, you probably should have a separation. Um, that's why I'm just kind of giving general outside of what you asked, just overall. But if it's just you, I don't see an issue with it. Especially if like
Right.
your profit, like if your rest of your documents are like, kind of can show how much is in and you're putting in when you're putting in your amounts, it's showing like, oh, this is business, and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I can do that because I was just wondering, do I need to send them like the latest statement when I upload my documents?
So we're going to ask for a bank signature card, um, which would be for the account. You're going to upload yourself. Also upload a letter of explanation, like upload two documents or like make them all one, saying like this is my personal account. It's just me having access to it. Um, so I haven't created another one yet because I want to grow before I separate that again because that's again an expense. And you, as
Okay.
you're growing, you try to cut every dollar you can to make sure you're profitable. We
Mhm.
understand that. That's why there's this caveats of like we understand very, very, very small businesses that are new, that are growing. We also understand businesses that are huge with multiple VPs of finance. Like
Mhm.
we understand, we try to meet you where you are. So if it's just you, upload your, this is who has access to the account. That's what we're looking for mostly is like who has access to sign on this account. That's like the bank signature card. If you don't have a bank signature card, get a letter from your bank showing who has access to the account. If you can't, some banks have it like on the system, like here's the act or the authorized users. Some of them don't. Just get a letter from your bank saying who has access to the account. If there's not necessarily a bank signature card.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to do that. My email is on, feel free to just send it to info and we can get it to the direct person, whether it's programming or certification related. If you have certification related question, send it there. It'll get forwarded to me or Colleen, or get onto our website, wbecorv.org, and click on the team. My email's on there. Shoot me an email. I'll do my best to get you an answer or answer you. I can't guide you, but I can kind of give you direction of who you can contact or whatnot. If it's something like major legal question, we have an attorney that we recommend because she's helped us many times. So if there's something in that, we can say, hey, reach out to this attorney. She can help you, guide you through that. But a lot of times, if it's gathering documents, building documents, reach out to the Small Business Development Center. And for those of you that are still on here, I mentioned the Small Business Development Center helping with loans. We have an MOU with the state of Ohio that if you're certified with them, they offer super, super, super low interest rate loans. And I think the max that they offer is like 3%. And it's from anywhere from microloans from like $10,000 to like $1.5 million. So that $1.5 million is at 3%. That's microloans are like down to 0%, depending on their criteria. I don't know. You can Google state of Ohio WBE loan, and I think it takes you to the government website of it, and it'll give you more explanation and criteria. But you get access to that. You have to be certified either with us or through them to get that. If you're certified with us, you're fast tracked through them. Theirs is free, so it's kind of depending on how fast you need this. But look into that. That's another WBENC perk, is you get access to that in the state of Ohio. I don't know, other states may have them as well. I know it's, again, Ohio, but you can check other states to see if they have something similar. Sorry I've kept you all over. Thank you all so much for your time.